everyone, and welcome to TVRI World Special Dialogue. I am Louisa Kusnandar with you. The Indonesian military TNI will celebrate its 78th anniversary on October 5, 2023. To get to know more about the TNI's defense role amid modern era global challenges as well as threats, we will talk with Vice Admiral Erwin S. Aldedharma, Chief of the 1st Joint Regional Defense Command Koga Bilwan 1, which oversees joint mobilization and operation of combat units of the Army, the Air Force, and the Navy in several islands in Indonesia, namely Sumatra, Jakarta, Banten, West Java, West Kalimantan, as well as Central Kalimantan. Now, first and foremost, let's talk to Vice Admiral Erwin S. Aldedharma. Vice Admiral Erwin, the TNI will celebrate its 78th anniversary soon enough. Could you please explain about its preparation to us? Have you got the names of the field commanders? And also, will the Indonesian President Joko Widodo be in attendance? Can you please share with us?
First of all, thank you, Ms. Louisa Kusnandar, for having me here today to speak about our anniversary and other issues related to the military. For our 78th anniversary, we have prepared a number of activities, and it will be held before the anniversary day, during the D-Day, and also the after. As you might know, late last month, we organized a seminar on defense strategy, followed by Panglima Run, where around 10,000 runners participated. And we also held an open-air exhibition of about 125 of our weapon systems at the National Monument, or Monas, last week. After October the 5th, we will also organize the puppet show, Wayang Kulit show, simultaneously on 6th of October in 78 places around Indonesia and also the world. One in Jakarta, 74 in Indonesia, and 3 abroad, namely Malaysia, Suriname, and the United States. But of course, the one that everyone awaits is the D-Day celebration. And we have had rehearsals since last week, involving all participants to ensure we have a great anniversary celebration. For the field commanders, as per tradition, the name will be announced just right before the D-Day, even early day on the D-Day. And for sure, we will choose the best of the best. I've heard that one of the candidates is my classmate, so let's hope for the best. And of course, for the attendance of the president, we expect our president will be in attendance in the celebration.
Of course, I mean this celebration, the 78th anniversary that will happen on October 5th is really something that the whole nation is really looking forward to, because it's always a massive celebration and a show of defense of Indonesia. Vice Admiral, where will the anniversary celebration be held exactly? And why is it chosen as the venue for the anniversary celebration this year?
Well, we have chosen the National Monument, or Monas, as the venue for our main anniversary celebration on the 5th of October this year. I believe the reason is quite evident. Not only Monas is a very famous Indonesian landmark, it is also positioned in the center of Jakarta, our current capital city. And as the main element of national defense, TNI is at the forefront of protecting the nation and the people. So what better place than to have the anniversary at the center of the capital city?
All right. Now, can you please also share with us, I have a couple of questions here, but please bear with me. How many personals will be involved in the celebration? What attractions will also be on display? And will it also involve flypast of military aircraft as well as jet fighters? Because this is always something that wows the audience.
Okay. How many personnel? I think we will have around 5,000 military personnel that include soldiers, sailors, and airmen. Even cadets from the TNI Academy will also be part of the celebration. And I think it is not possible to have a TNI anniversary celebration without fly past from our aircraft and jet fighters. So not only from the Air Force, the aviation from the Army and the Navy will take part, as well as fighter jets from the Air Force. Our Jupiter aerobatic team and Pegasus team will also display their skills during the celebration on the D-Day.
Right, 5,000 military personnel is a huge number. Vice Admiral, in your personal opinion, what would be the climax of the show?
The climax of the show, I think it will be the jet displays. I mean, yeah, even I'm from the Navy, even myself, every time I see our jet fighters playing along up in the sky, I feel just like, wow.
I'm sure, and I'm sure the whole nation will be looking forward to it.
Looking forward.
Special Dialogue will be back shortly after the break, where we will be talking about the TNI's roles in the modern era. Stay with us on Special Dialogue. You are back watching Special Dialogue with me, Louisa Kusnandar, and in celebration of the 78th anniversary of TNI, we're still in dialogue with the Vice Admiral Erwin S. Aldedharma. And on this segment, we will be discussing more about the TNI's role in the modern era. Vice Admiral, can you please share with us next, what is the concept of TNI's defense role in the modern era of global challenges as well as threats nowadays?
Well, the core of TNI's defense role remains the same: to uphold sovereignty of our national integrity based on Pancasila and the 1945 Constitution. Nevertheless, the challenges and threats have evolved significantly in the past decade. Non-traditional threats have become more evident. The COVID-19 pandemic is one example of non-traditional defense threat the world experienced not long ago. Another example is threat from advanced technology that includes artificial intelligence, the use of drones and unmanned vehicles for military and non-military use, global warming, and natural disasters. On the other hand, traditional threats remain in the world. As we can see in other parts of the world, we still have war. Well, not us, but yeah, there's still war in this part of the world, in the countries. We also have tensions or dispute over some part of the international waters or sea. So in facing these challenges, we need not to only modernize our force posture or structure, but also to develop innovative ways to manage these threats, as well as ensure our soldiers, airmen, and sailors are prepared in facing these kinds of challenges. In the next years, TNI hopefully will receive a number of modern and sophisticated weapon systems for all the three services, while preparing the men and women who will man these weapon systems. Also, we now have reserve and supporting components in our assets besides TNI as the defense main component. Another important point is the importance of regional and global cooperation we have with neighboring and friendly countries on defense and military issues.
Vice Admiral, as you mentioned before, it's a new era now, and we have new challenges at the moment that we are facing. Is there any review of the Sishan Kamrata defense concept for the current modern era, as you mentioned?
So this Sishan Kamrata, or perhaps more familiar, if we can call it, the total war concept. The dynamics of our strategic environment and with what has happened in the world, it necessitates us to periodically review our defense concept. As I mentioned earlier, our threats are no longer traditional and conventional, and thus we need to have new approaches on our total war concept. And hence, we could no longer apply the same approach we have been applying for, let's say, 5 or 10 years ago. Furthermore, military threats have gone beyond the borders, and areas of conflict are no longer bound by conventional theater. So yes, we need to consistently review our defense concept.
Exactly, that is the point there, to consistently review our defense. Now, military and defense threats have expanded from the traditional theater with specifically identified areas of conflict or war of the states or parties involved, and now shifting to borderless areas of threats in the modern era and concept of war or conflict. How does the TNI itself prepare to these modern era challenges and threats?
A very good question, and I think this is one of our main concerns in developing both our human resources as well as our hardware. One of the borderless threats of modern warfare is the cyber domain. As you know, the TNI has established our own cyber task force back in 2017, if I'm not mistaken. This task force is responsible to monitor all cyber activities related to military and defense, as well as coordinate with the three services as well as civilian cyber institutions. Developing such a task force requires both the people with cyber-related skills and capacity, as well as the hardware to support such activities. Another borderless modern threat is pandemic. The COVID-19 pandemic has forced the world to change the way we manage a pandemic, as well as change our lives. And TNI has played an important role in managing the pandemic, from preventing cases until directly handling COVID cases everywhere in Indonesia. We have achieved a number of milestones. However, as the nature of existing and future challenges is ever evolving, hence TNI must also adapt itself. This requires an evolving understanding and paradigm of existing and future threats in the context of force planning and force structure development.
Now, my next question is still related to the future as well as the threat that comes with it. The modern era of war or conflict has also involved unmanned military and defense equipment and tools. How does the TNI balance itself in managing between conventional military equipment and tools compared to the modern ones like the drones and even nuclear and biochemical weaponries?
It's interesting you brought up nuclear and biochemical weapons, but I'm sure you are aware of the Southeast Asian Nuclear Weapon Free Zone Treaty that Indonesia has signed in 1995. So it is clear that nuclear weapons are not a weapon of choice of our country, and the same applies to biochemical weapons. On the matter of unmanned systems, technology has always been the basis of defense equipment, but now it is even more prevalent, especially with the rise of artificial intelligence. It is important that TNI maintains a balance between the conventional and unconventional weapon systems. It is evident that even the most powerful militaries in the world continue to develop conventional platforms while at the same time pursuing AI and unmanned equipment. Balance is the key as we look upon our threats, the capabilities we need, as well as the state's capacity to fulfill them.
Balance is the key between conventional and the future. Vice Admiral Erwin, we will come back shortly after this break where we will be talking about the not so far future but the near future of the general elections of 2024. Stay with us on Special Dialogue. You're back on Special Dialogue. I'm Louisa Kusnandar, and on this segment, we will be discussing about the security arrangement for the 2024 general election that is coming very, very shortly now with Vice Admiral Erwin. Vice Admiral, can you please explain about the TNI's involvement in securing the 2024 general elections?
Thank you for the question. Well, the main idea of TNI's involvements in next year's general elections is neutrality, of course. Everything that we have been doing and will do in the future is based on this understanding. Our Commander-in-Chief, Admiral Yudo Margono, has given clear and direct guidance to all members of the military to remain neutral. Any member violating these guidelines will receive strict punishment. So the role we play in securing the general election is basically in support of the national police. We also identify possible areas of conflicts, especially for prone conflict areas for this purpose.
Vice Admiral Erwin, can you please also share with us how many TNI personnel that will be involved in securing the 2024 elections, and is there any breakdown for the three military branches, the Army, the Air Force, as well as the Navy?
Well, perhaps I cannot give you the breakdown of how many personnel from each services, but for the 2024 elections, the TNI will deploy more than 400,000 personnel. That includes the Army, the Navy, and the Air Force. And the composition of the forces will also depend on the dynamics of each particular situation. But I'm sure it is in everyone's interest that we have a peaceful and smooth election.
Of course. Now, can you please also share with us how about the military equipment as well as tools that will be involved in securing the 2024 upcoming elections? And will they involve heavy military equipment like armored vehicles and tanks, warships, and even aircraft, including jet fighters? Could you please explain to us?
Well, to be honest, military and their weapon system are inseparable. So you cannot separate between the man and the system that we also operate. But in the military, we have the concept of escalation, where we would deploy our personal and military equipment depending on the level of escalation and threat in a particular area. We will not deploy defense systems that do not comply or are not required for that particular situation. Assessment will be made in order to determine what type of equipment we should deploy. And TNI will make sure that existing weapon systems are ready to be deployed on a moment's notice. So we are ready to be deployed, but how much power that we have to deploy depends on the situation. And yes, we will bring our weapon system along with us.
So everything is going to be ready for the 2024
We will be ready.
general election. Now, before we close this special dialogue, can you please specifically share with us what are the goals of TNI in securing the 2024 general elections?
As I mentioned earlier, it is in everyone's interest to have a smooth and secure election. So I think the goal of the TNI mission in securing the general election, I think it's the same. Mm-hmm. We want to have, or we're looking forward to have a smooth and secure general elections in 2024.
And I believe that is what everyone is looking forward to, a celebration of the nation, but also making sure that everything runs peacefully for the country. Vice Admiral Erwin Aldedharma, thank you so much for sharing your insights on this talk with me on TVRI World's Special Dialogue. Thank you so much, and we hope to see you again on our next opportunity.
Thank you.
And that ends our special dialogue today. I am Louisa Kusnandar. Thank you for watching, and see you next time. Bye-bye.